Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada Sportsbook.
It's not often we get to do this. I was muted that whole time. I'm so sorry. It's not often we get to do this, Flames fans. It's game over Calgary. It's Auddie. And we're covering a win. We don't often get to do that when I'm the host of this show. It just seems to fall by the wayside, and I get to cover losses. But it was a close one. We're going to talk about it. We got a lot of good things lined up for today's show. Welcome to Game Over Calgary. Calgary Flames defeating the Columbus Blue Jackets, a tight one, a 4-3 final in overtime from the Scotiabank Saddledome. Think you know what way it's going to go? Make your bet with Sports Interaction. Whether it's hockey, football, or basketball, Sports Interaction has you covered. Bet pregame, live and play, or on one of our many prop bets. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Want to bet? Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. 19 plus. Please play responsibly. And if you or anybody you know has any issues with gambling, please be sure to check out the show notes. There are lots of resources in there to get some help and guidance and assistance. So please be sure to check those out. And without further ado, the highly anticipated episode. Everybody's been waiting for this one. I've been waiting for this one. Nasher joins us today. How are you, buddy? It's good to see you. It's late there, so first and foremost, thank you so much for taking the time. How you doing?
Oh, we are living the dream despite a tough loss there. Great game, though. We have a lot to talk about here today. And I do have to say, your Twitter community, one of the best in the game. All right, my DMs, my replies, they were just buzzing all week long, telling me to get on this show. So here we are.
Look, and like I said to you before, I DM'd you back in September, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna write it off. I think it's a lost cause. But then yeah, the community banded together. Shout out to Crash. I think he's one of your mods on Twitch, and he kind of helped facilitate this too. So shout out to him. I know he's in the chat. But yeah, like you mentioned, not shy of storylines tonight between these two teams. But before we even break down the game, I kind of wanted to ask you. I have a lot of Flames people on this show, rightfully so. It's Game Over Calgary. But one of the things I've wanted to get from a Columbus perspective, we talk all the time about going back to the signing, the big day when Johnny Gaudreau announces he's not going to be coming back to Calgary. And then we find out, we see the Elliot Friedman tweet or the Frank Saravelli tweet that he's going to Columbus. I know you were pretty hyped. I've followed you for a while, but take me through your reactions that day. That was some pretty big news for the fan base.
Yeah, man, it just came out of nowhere as well, right? Because we had heard all the rumors about, Philly and New Jersey and all those teams, and then just out of nowhere, you get the tweet notification on your phone that Johnny Hockey is signing in Columbus. And I think with everything that's gone on with our organization and, the struggles that we've had, the players that we've lost along the way for a variety of different reasons, getting Johnny Hockey, the biggest free agent of the summer was, a dream come true for everyone here in this city. And I know this year hasn't, worked out the way that we wanted to so far, but I think Johnny Hockey's kind of the piece that you can build around. And maybe we get Connor Bedard in the draft.
I was gonna say Johnny Gaudreau or that Connor Bedard guy.
Combo,
Yeah.
We're getting too ahead of ourselves, but who knows what next year's gonna look like.
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
very exciting.
At the end of the day, man, the Columbus Blue Jackets just about made the Flames look silly in 2 games this year. They split the season series, but yeah, it was a pretty disastrous time for Calgary Flames fans. We were going through it. It was a summer to almost forget until Matthew Tkachuk ends up getting traded for Huberdeau, and all that it has come and gone. But yeah, you know what? You talk about players that have come and gone in Columbus. I remember not long ago, the Blue Jackets going all in at the deadline, acquiring Duchesne, Dzingel. They brought in a bunch of guys at the deadline, and I thought that was going to change the trade deadline forever, because Columbus went all in, and I think they were I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound, but I think they were a first round bounce that year, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it's we're not far removed from Columbus being a pretty good team, and now they're kind of are where they are on a bit of a rebuild here. But I'm excited to see what happens. You guys have a really passionate fan base, and I think you guys deserve some good. So we'll see what happens here.
Dude, our last game was versus the Sharks, and it sold out. A sellout game, Blue Jackets versus Sharks, last game. Is unbelievable. The fans are showing up. Listen, we're one of the most passionate fan bases out there. If there's a team that deserves Bedard, it's the Blue Jackets this year. I'm telling you what, the energy in the building is still there, even with us being the worst team in the league right now. It is pretty cool to see.
The stock for being a Columbus Blue Jackets fan is just going up and up and up right now.
Hop on the wagon while
That's
you
it.
can.
Everybody's going to be hopping on the wagon. Look, I mentioned to you before, like super appreciative and thankful. I would be remiss if I didn't mention on a personal note before we get into diving into the game. I'm going to fanboy a little bit here just because I was part of the Ivy Sports Leadership Conference a couple years ago. Yeah. And your panel was like pretty much what made me stick it out with this stuff. So from a personal level, I wanted to make sure I thanked you for that because like this is huge. I would have never thought I would have had this opportunity, and a lot of that's credit to you and your panel there was incredible. So I just want to thank you for that before we go any further.
Of course, man. I remember that, and I remember hitting you with the follow when I think you asked a question or something. You were one of the most engaged people there.
I tried, man.
It's
I felt
very cool to see where you've come, man. For real.
I appreciate it. It's it means a lot, and like I said, it's not just fluff. I genuinely mean all that. So, but before I pump your tires too much, and everybody starts giving me a hard time, this was a hell of a game, man. Like aside from the storylines, like we'll talk about the whole Gaudreau reception and all that. The Blue Jackets, like, they finished the game here. It was the shots were 45-23 in favor of Calgary at the end of regulation. But I don't think that was indicative of how, like, the Flames were dominant in stretches, but the Blue Jackets, like, forced a lot of turnovers, forced a lot of odd man rushes. That Boone Jenner goal was nasty. Take me through it. What did you think, like, from the start to finish from a Columbus perspective?
Yeah, man, this is a team that, never gives up. I mean, obviously this year's been a bit different than most, but we saw kind of the energy and the excitement that this team can bring, right? And I think one of the two biggest things that I think the team struggles with is number one, the power play is horrendous. We saw it in the 4-on-3 that then went into a 5-on-4. They didn't get a single shot on net. We got lucky. Johnny Hockey was dishing them out today. And, he got one over to Line and got one over to Marchenko there. But, yeah, the boys usually struggle on the power play, and I think that's where the biggest difference maker in this game was. Finally, Johnny got something going and got the power play feeds over there. And once you have Line actually shooting biscuits and hitting the net, they do start to go in. So it's a very exciting game, but you never know what you're gonna get with the Blue Jackets power play.
It's nasty too. Like I didn't realize that Johnny and Line connection. Like they were hitting each other. That was only one of a few like pretty nice feeds to one another. And then when it seemed like there was an in-game adjustment, and Boone Jenner, I think Roslovic usually plays on that line if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. They booted him and then put Boone in there. Yeah.
That was like everything. Holy shit, man. That was incredible. Like that line was that was pure dominance, and it was scary for a little bit as a Flames fan and as a spectator that has to come on a show and talk about the Calgary Flames performance after a game like that. Because like, man, they pushed them to the brink. They take it to overtime, and had it not been for a turnover and a Dubé goal, this could have been a much different. And you know what? I think a lot of credit to Korpisalo, because he did not get much support from the start. Like it was, I think I put out a tweet. I was like, man, I genuinely feel bad for this guy. Like turnover after turnover. Is this a common thing? Like I felt so bad watching this. I'm like, man, he's doing everything he can, and like he just can't get any support in front of him.
No, that's the thing this year is it's kind of the question going into the year was who's going to be the number one goalie, Corpy or Elvis. And I think Corpy, each and every game, he's starting to be the guy that you can turn to really turn the tides of a game and really carry you to a win, much like what we almost saw today. I mean, Calgary had double the shots and he still almost kept them in it. And it's not like these were just, random shots that they were flipping on net. These were some crazy saves, rebounds. He was getting a piece of everything there.
Yeah, it was, usually from a Flames perspective, they're pretty good at doing this, where they put up a boatload of shots and they end up losing a game, which could have been the storyline tonight. But a lot of those are perimeter shots. They're not really coming from high danger areas. They're just kind of fluff shots that, right in the belly pad or easy shots for goalies to save. But I found the Flames were like putting a lot of pressure on tonight. They did a lot of really good things to force turnovers, which was another big storyline for Columbus. Again, I'm not trying to this isn't like the poo-poo on Columbus stream, but it was like,
it's deserved.
There were a lot of forced D zone turnovers for Columbus, and it was like, man, I don't know. It's got to be frustrating as a Blue Jackets fan, but you guys seem to be the fan base, at least from an outside perspective, seem to be pretty positive about the whole thing. I think that's something, unless I'm completely out to lunch and just seeing the superficial stuff. It seems to me like you guys are keeping pretty level-headed about the whole thing. And I mean, I would too if you had a chance at Bedard, but
right. I think it depends on the person that you talk to. But for me at this point, I'm just rooting for the boys to go out there and play a good and competitive game. Obviously, a lot over the month of January and December, we were losing games 5-2, 5-1 every single game. Now at least it's turning into somewhat of a game, and that's all we can ask for. As long as they're fighting. Maybe you end up with a loss, but maybe that helps you get Bedard at the end. Who knows? I'm just sitting back and just watching hockey. And obviously, we're not making the playoffs. We don't have a shot at it. So you can just kind of sit back and enjoy the ride, whatever that may be.
Coming into this one, the Blue Jackets 4-15-0 in their last 19. They moved to 4-15-1. So at least they get 1 point out of it. Before we go ahead too far, let's take a look at some of the chat here. Lots of people in here. By the way, if you're enjoying what you're seeing, please be sure to like it, share the stream on Twitter, get some more people in here. We should use some more Columbus fans in here. We can't have just one, so
that'd be nice.
Yeah, right. We try to get some outside spectators as well. Arcade Regiment saying Auddie versus the ad read. Yeah, that was a rough first ad read. I'm usually pretty good at those, but today was not so good. Peltier got an extra minute and a half of time on ice. Does he get a third game? I think so. I think he does. Not sure if you followed along too much, but the Flames as of late, Daryl Sutter as of late, reluctancy to play some of the young kids. We finally got Jacob Peltier, who was the Flames' first-round pick in 2019. He's got a couple games, so now we're trying to figure out how much longer of a leash he gets playing on the fourth line with Trevor Lewis and Walker Dewar, so we'll find out. A lot of thank you crashes in the chat for getting this thing going.
Did chat want to talk about the? Did you want to talk about the OT goal yet?
Who, the chat?
I've Are you guys? Is no one in chat going to acknowledge that Johnny Hockey got drugged to the ice before the giveaway that led to the OT goal? You're saying that's not. Listen, I know Laine fell. Laine fell. I'll admit it. Laine fell. Johnny did not fall. He's on the ground and there's a stick between his legs.
Look.
That's a call.
I'm
not going to complain. I'm fine with the loss, but that's a call all day.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree because, and I think that there's a greater issue here than just that one call. Obviously, it led to the eventual game winner, but I think and I'm usually like, anybody who knows me knows that I'm pretty much team stripes. It's a tough job, and it's a thankless job on the best of days, but this was some pretty horrific officiating tonight. That was not too many men on the ice. First and foremost, they had five guys on the ice.
They never showed the replay on the feed I was watching.
I guess you guys were watching ESPN and Hulu, I think, tonight. Yeah.
They never they showed a still of it, but never showed the rest. And so you can confirm it wasn't.
Yeah. So Sportsnet actually they took the like overhead angle, and there was five guys, but I think I can't remember if it was Goodbranson going off, but somebody kind of gave the illusion that he was like, oh shit, like I got to get off. And I don't know, they didn't really count. They just they just hope for the best.
It looked weird, like seeing it in real time. It seemed like something was off, but again, I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, it was definitely not. You know what? I was actually kind of happy that the Flames didn't score on that power play because it would have felt like just criminally unfair. I don't know. I'm not like. It is what it is at this point.
I respect that.
Yeah. I try, man. I try. You got to stay level-headed in this in this biz. Robert's saying the OBS to YouTube delay is much longer than it is on Twitch. Oh, people just talking about Twitch and OBS here. Let's see. Lots of Nasher love. People saying Auddie and Nasher, not the collab that we asked for, but the collab we needed. That's coming from Nate. I appreciate that one.
Yeah, if you guys have any questions you're dying to ask,
yeah.
toss them in the chat. And for me or for Auddie, either of us, we're
Yeah.
here to help you guys. So
that's what I was going to say, that maybe our call to action for the next, as we kind of move along here on Game Over Calgary, following a Flames 4-3 win over the Columbus Blue Jackets in overtime. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Let's get some. Maybe we'll spend the last segment as we continue along here, answering your questions that you might have for myself, that you might have for Nasher, so we can get those ones answered. I wanted to ask you about the Gaudreau reception from Flames fans, because it was a pretty mixed signal on Twitter. Twitter's a pretty sane place, right? Like, people are not going over the edge on Twitter
right.
at all. And a lot of Flames fans obviously very upset with the way things went down with Johnny Gaudreau. I land on the side, and I kind of want to get your 2 cents on it too, throwing your Columbus allegiances out the window, just like strictly as a fan. For me, the whole time I was looking at this, I'm thinking Johnny Gaudreau has given what he can to Calgary. He's earned the right to go and test free agency and go somewhere else. Yeah. It's a family decision. He's got a young family. His wife was pregnant at the time. And he moves closer to home. He's not right there, but he's closer than he would be if he was in Calgary. So this whole time, I think, all the best to him. I'm not, no sweat off my back. From your perspective, if somebody were to do that for Columbus, is that the same kind of feeling, or are you holding a grudge like 90% of Flames Twitter and Flames fans seem to do?
I think we've kind of went through it a little bit, right? So we had, it's not quite the same because Panarin was only with us for a couple of years, but it is similar in the sense that, he had his opportunity. He gave it his all while he was here. And then, it was even rumored that we offered more money than the Rangers. So that hurt a little bit, but listen, I love Brad, man. I still watch him. I still support him. I still, wish him the best. I hope he lifts the cup someday. But as for something on kind of the opposite end, we had the Pierre-Luc Dubois situation.
Right.
He handled that about as poorly as possible, right? Yeah. Everyone saw his lazy shift. His last shift as a Blue Jacket was him, moving 3 feet over the course of a 30-second shift. So I think there's both sides of it, right? We have our people that we still hold near and dear, like Panarin, that they can go wherever and we'll support them. And then you kind of have the PLD, which made himself a villain. I personally, I know him like on a more personal level and have hung out with him at some events and whatnot. And I still love the guy. I think he's funny. I don't know what the ins and outs of the situation, but yeah, there's different situations for different players and it kind of just depends.
Yeah. I don't know. I like,
what are your thoughts on like Tkachuk? I mean,
okay,
right
so
now, just off the top of your head.
I mean, it wasn't. I don't really hold much of a grudge for him either. I think that he went about it as good as you can for someone who still has a year of team control. Told the Flames he wasn't interested in re-signing, and here's the teams that I'd like to go to if you'd like to try to facilitate a trade. Had the decency, not decency, it makes me sound like a prick when I say it like that, but like you know what I'm trying to say? Like he had the I don't know what the word would be, but either way, he had the, I guess we'll say, decency to go to Flames management and say, look, I don't really like the direction things are going. I don't think I see myself here long term. Trade me and see what you can get for me so you can still kind of stay in your competitive window. And at the time, that trade looked pretty good. Huberdeau, Weegar, Cole Schwindt in a first. Huberdeau off to an incredibly slow start. But I mean, like I said, I don't really hold a grudge on either player. I think that both handled it kind of the same. Like look, Gaudreau was up until the 12th hour was considering coming back to Calgary. And even after he said he wasn't going to sign and free agency opened, he still considered coming back on a 7-year deal. Yep. So clearly this place meant something to him, and it was a difficult decision. I don't think that we need to dogpile on the guy for making a decision that he thinks is better for his life, because, hockey players are humans too, to make a personal decision like that. And I don't know. I don't want to join the dogpile. A lot of people disagree, but I'm one of those people that, I don't know. It's just, it's a life decision for a lot of these people. Like, you got to put yourself in their shoes too. like people, like players that decide to go home, right?
Yep.
If you had the opportunity to go home and play professional hockey for a team that you either grew up cheering for or a place that you grew up nearby, how could you pass that up?
Right. I completely agree. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people that fall on different sides, and it was especially a conversation this year in Calgary Flames land, because a lot of a lot of people were not happy with Johnny, and as you could see tonight with some of the signage at the Scotiabank Saddledome. This is a question for you. No, that's a fake name. That's a fake name. I got last stream. Somebody threw a
They've
fake
been trying to
prospect.
get you every time
Oh,
now,
dude,
yeah.
it's
That's how
bad.
it goes.
It's bad. And usually I don't like, because we got a mod, Robert, who's incredible, and he usually filters through all this stuff. But the fake names always get me.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll ask you. Maxim, my buddy Maxim says, Nasher, when are you making your next song?
I told the people 1 million subscribers, I'll get another song.
A milli.
We're
We
gonna try to. I said I wanted to. I'm going like professional. We're renting out a studio. Maybe there'll be features. Like I don't know what's gonna happen, but we're going very big for $1 million.
You just got to get like a bunch of the like NHL or like streaming community, or even like, I don't know,
Like
I'm
a
sure.
no sleeves feature.
Yeah.
On there. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the plan.
we would do it. Yeah, if you can get Cam on there, that would be that'd be awesome.
Yep.
Nate says, Nasher, what do you feel is your biggest achievement playing the NHL video game franchise? And a follow-up to that, what is your biggest achievement as a content creator? So I guess answer the first one would be your biggest achievement playing the game. So like, I guess that would mean like...
I think I can kind of tie these both in together almost. Biggest achievement through NHL and then while playing NHL was, I think, getting to go to the media tour, and literally I just played NHL with McDavid, Matthews, Makar, every single big name in the league, and getting to like just sit down and one-on-one chat with the guys in the NHL. You realize, like you were saying earlier, these are just humans. They're just normal dudes. You hang out with them, you talk to them, and I think the beauty of it that I found, I've met a lot of people from a lot of different sports, but I really do find that hockey players are the most down to earth dudes that I've ever met. Like you're just hanging out with Austin Matthews, and like we hung out and had played in a charity tournament earlier, and he was like, "Yeah, remember that time me, you, and Marner went undefeated?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude." And he like hits me up and like asks me for like EASHL player builds occasionally. Like he's such a nice down to earth dude, and I think that's true for all the big names and everyone that I've met so far in the league. So just getting to do that, get to meet, the players that I look up to every day. And I think along with that, getting to meet Rick Nash is definitely one of the biggest moments
that's
in my life. Like we were on the stage at the draft party and they brought Rick Nash out and I had no idea what was happening. They literally just brought him out. And that was my first time, face to face with Rick Nash, the guy that I made my username after and the guy that inspired it all. So
that's awesome. And you even got to participate, share the ice with him recently, which was pretty cool. Tell us about that. I know you put a video out about it, but little sneak peek for the people who haven't quite watched yet.
Yeah, so our video, we got a 2-parter coming. So the next video is going to be all the Rick Nash stuff. But so the Blue Jackets invited me and Auddie O'Cal, he's over with ESPN, out to just like a 2-day, nothing but content filled day over at Nationwide Arena. And man, some of the stuff we got to do, we got to fire the cannon off at Nationwide Arena. No one else has ever, no non-employee of the Blue Jackets has ever done that before me and Auddie did. So I got to flip the switch, the cannon went boom. Like it's a surreal moment, man.
That's so cool.
And then they invited us out to the alumni skate. So ton of Blue Jackets alumni, a lot of the guys that I actually have a picture of me going to meet Jean-Luc Grandpierre at Home Depot as like a 5-year-old.
That's awesome.
So I have that picture and I was on the ice with him and Jody Shelley and Rick Nash and just all the guys that I looked up to as a kid. So yeah, they still got it. Let's just say that. I thought I was going to be able to keep up just a little bit with them getting a little bit older now, but out on the ice, I tell you what, Rick Nash could still be playing hockey if it weren't for the concussions, man. He was flying out there. Yeah, absolutely flying.
No, that's so awesome, and I think it's just to bring it like motivationally, like this industry has led you to so much stuff and cool stuff, and it's within reach for people. So not to get all deep on everybody, but like just keep doing what you're doing, because you never know, you could be the next Nasher or something similar along those lines, right? Like look at what it's led you to, man. It's like would you have thought like 10 years ago that this is where you would have been today?
No, I mean, dude, I thought I was just gonna be in some office job, just working a 9 to 5, and now literally every single day I wake up living the dream, and it's all because of my supporters, man. So I have you guys to thank for that, Auddie, you included. You were a big fan of mine, and every single it's obviously weird. You see like the numbers go up on the screen, but as you start to actually meet the people that support you and show love to your videos, like out in person or out on calls like this, it really does kind of change your perspective on things and just like how important what we do as creators is for some people.
Absolutely. No, you hit the nail on the head, and as I couldn't agree more. Tony Farelli saying, Nasher, longtime follower, first time listener, love what you're doing with growing the game. What's your favorite beer? And when are you meeting me and Crash for one?
I'm a Corona and lime kind of guy, but anytime, any place you want me to get out there. I think I got to get up to Calgary and do a roller house tourney or something.
You should. I was gonna say Crash literally lives like 3 blocks from me. Like,
oh really?
So my house backs onto a soccer field, which backs onto an ODR, which is pretty sweet. I got an ODR within walking distance. And the only reason I found this out, just to quickly sidebar, I posted a picture. This ODR used to not have lights. I posted this picture last winter of a dude with his truck and his high beams facing the ODR so that his kids could be skating out there. I posted a picture. I'm like, this is awesome. Like, this is so sweet. I would have never thought of that. Crash replied to me. He's like, yeah, that was literally me. Like that was me and my kids, and I'm like, oh no way! And I found out he lives just down the street. So
look at that.
I know, it's crazy, such a small world. Mitch says, Nasher, which Flame would you most want on the Jackets from this current roster?
I mean, I saw there were rumblings that Gaudreau was thinking about coming to the Blue Jackets after Johnny signed. I said that like came out today. I think I saw that he'd be up there. Toffoli's always a guy, like he's just ripping them. It seems like he gets like 5 shots a game to Toffoli every single game that I watch.
He's shooting like crazy this year. And like last year when the Flames got him on Valentine's Day, they acquired him right before the trade deadline. And he lit it up for the first few weeks, and he kind of slumped. And everybody kind of got worried. But this year, man, he's been lights out. Lights out. He's been so good.
I mean, that's really the Blue Jackets. They have Line, but we just need some guys that'll shoot the puck, especially on the power play. So I'd lead towards Gaudreau or Toffoli, one of the two. Probably.
There you go. Someone's saying we need to get Auddie Zoom Plus for longer game overs, by the way. Steve, if you're watching, Zoom Plus would be ideal. Is that what it's even called? Zoom Premium, Zoom Plus, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else have we got here? Antonio says, Nasher, how safe is Brad Larsen's job?
I mean, I think he's just the tank commander right now.
It's
kind of a tough position. Like, you just don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Obviously, if you're a player, you're playing for your job. If you're a coach, you're coaching for your job, despite the need for a tank. But man, it's not looking good. I think what I've seen is obviously Brad Larsen was under Torts, and it just seems like a lot of the same struggles that we had, with Tortorella as coach have still continued. It seems like he kind of is just a clone of what Torts used to be. Sure, he's a little quieter with the media, and it seems like he's more of the players are at least more of a fan of him, but the results in terms of the power play, especially in the offense, it's always been a struggle, and it continues to be. So I don't know. We'll see what the coaching availability looks like over the summer and over the off season. But for me right now, it doesn't seem like he'd be coming back, but honestly, anything's possible. Who's to say?
That's that Bruce Boudreau guy's available now too.
That's
Canucks.
What I've heard.
Canucks fumbling the bag so hard with that whole. That was so bad.
I'm still just. I get sad when I think about.
Oh man,
and how that all went down.
Every hockey person you talk to has a good Bruce Boudreau story. Like he's just such a genuinely, like from what the hockey circles say, such a good dude, and it just sucks to see something like that happen. Nate with another follow-up question. He's a big jersey guy. Does lots of jersey concepts. He wants to know the best Columbus Blue Jackets jersey of all time.
I'm leaning towards the OG one. The neon green is just, I don't know. I'm a big fan of like the old early 2000s, 90s kind of flair, and the old logo too. A lot of people like there's like a hidden CBJ in there that not a lot of people even see unless you look for it. I think those like secret meaning logos are
Yeah.
sick. And we had the old stinger patches on the sleeves, which I'm a big stinger fan. I think the more stinger the better. Toss them on the
Yeah.
shoulder.
Oh yeah.
So I think the OG one's probably my go-to. Blue Jackets need some help in the jersey front though. The reverse retros, they're both
Mid.
kind of meh. Yeah, both
Yeah.
very very mid. So we
Yeah.
need some help for sure.
I am very partial to the Canon jersey,
Yeah.
like the circle logo. If they made a cream colored like away jersey and somehow incorporated that, and like I don't know, maybe that's like just maybe Blue Jackets fans hate it. I have no idea. But like that jersey, I friggin' love it. And if they somehow made like some kind of away jersey for it and went that for home and away, chef's kiss. Chef's kiss.
Yeah.
I'd be
I
all
wouldn't
over
mind it.
that.
I would not mind it, depending on how they do it. The only thing I don't really love, like, I feel like the logo isn't good. Like, the Canon here just
Yeah.
doesn't look as good to me as like an apparel logo. It's not as good. For jerseys, beautiful.
Yeah, you're right. It would be too like it's too small, right? Like
Yeah.
it's too many small details. Let's see. We got any more questions here? Last call. We'll say last call. Maybe answer a few more here as we put a bow on this episode of Game Over Calgary. I guess on the topic of jerseys, thoughts on the Flames bringing Blasty back. The
Blasty.
the well, like the horse head with the
Yep.
yeah. Well, he's back now. He was the reverse retro a couple of years ago. Did you not know he was called Blasty?
I actually did. I mean, maybe I've heard it before, but it didn't come to mind.
Okay,
I knew what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, are you a fan? Are you not a fan? It's kind of like a hot topic here in Calgary. You either love him or you hate him.
Really? I thought everyone was kind of on board for it. No.
I mean, I think most people are. I'll tell you, it had to grow on me.
Mhm.
I wasn't huge on it, and then they brought it back, and it was kind of shoved in everybody's face, and so I kind of had to like it, and I really like it. So I mean,
I think the color. I think the color scheme is very nice. It almost reminds me of the new Vancouver skate jersey a little bit, just in terms of the colors. I think it pops though. I'm looking at. I just pulled it up. Yeah, I could see how people would hate it. I'll just say that.
yeah, it's
I go back and forth. I don't know.
I was on a Tampa Bay Lightning podcast a few months ago, and they thought it was a dragon this whole time. So, Cowboys, Cowtown, Calgary, dragons. Yeah. So
Yeah, perfect.
let's see here. A couple more. Somebody says, "Well, Nasher, if you need that OG jersey in the collection, I may have one to sell."
Perfect.
Shameless plug to all the for all the jersey sellers out there.
I got tons of jerseys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I
You
can
know-
imagine.
You know how it goes.
Oh yeah, dude. I've got like
Why
a
is there no
fraction.
Blasty jersey behind you though? That's
So
the real
funny
question.
story. But I had a Blasty jersey. A couple weekends ago was my fiance's birthday, and I took her to a Flames game. She loves Elias Lindholm, so I actually ended up buying this one, the reverse retro, and I
Yep.
gave her the Blasty, and we put Elias Lindholm on the back at the Flame store. So I lost my Blasty to my fiance, and now I have a reverse retro, and I'll have to get a Blasty another time. So
That's
tried
funny.
to be a good guy, and it worked. She's still around, so I think that's gonna put a bow on it though. This has been a lot of fun. Like I said, man, thank you so much for coming on. It was a long time coming and a lot of persistence, but we got there. And it's a lot of credit goes out to everybody who tagged you and bugged you and blew up your DMs and notifications. You're like, holy shit, can this Auddie guy leave me alone? But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Everybody knows where to find you, but just like take this time to talk about whatever you're working on and wherever, if people live under a rock and don't know who you are, where they can find you.
Of course, man. Yeah, we're trying to change the game over on YouTube. We got all sorts of crazy content on the way. I'm just at Nasher over on YouTube, at the Nasher61 on other socials. For real, thank you for having me on. I know we've been talking off and on Twitter and everything for a while, but good to actually talk here and get on the show. And I'll have to come out to Calgary sometime. We'll get some pond hockey in, hit a game soon, maybe get some roller in at some point. So chat, thank you for all the love as always. For real, it's been a great show. And if you ever want to have me on again, Let's do it. All right.
All right. Well, you guys heard it. We'll next season when the Blue Jackets are in town, we'll have to hit you up. Okay, Flames fans. Before we wrap it up, the next game over Calgary will be on Thursday. Peter Klein will be hosting, and that will be against the Chicago Blackhawks. So, on behalf of myself, on behalf of Nasher, the Calgary Flames winning 4-3 in overtime over the Columbus Blue Jackets. I want to thank you guys so much for stopping by and watching Game Over Calgary, presented by Sports Interaction on SDPN Sports, and we will see you on the next stream. Be safe, everybody. Take care, and we'll talk to you then.
Game over! Powered by Sports Interaction.